The very heart of professional golf is up for grabs right now. On one side, it's the well-known PGA Tour. On the other, it's the upstart, controversial LIV Golf. But will LIV Golf actually do what it says it wants to do? To grow the game of golf and change it for the better? Let's find out. If you haven't been tuned into the details of this story, let's catch you up real quick. Rumblings of a new golf league backed by Saudi Arabian oil money started popping up in the spring of 2021, and then golf legend Greg Norman signed on as CEO of what is now known as LIV Golf in October. But the news surrounding LIV really started heating up when earlier this year, Phil Mickelson vented his frustrations about the PGA Tour to golf journalist Alan Shipnuck, and mused about how the new Saudi-backed league could help shake up the top tour in the world. Phil was clear about his displeasure with the PGA Tour's greed and inflexibility, but his flippant attitude toward Saudi Arabia's human rights record and involvement in the murder of a Washington Post journalist did not go over well. In that interview, Phil called joining up with LIV Golf a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reshape how the PGA Tour operates, and then went on to say that he wasn't even sure that he wanted LIV Golf to succeed, but rather just use it to help change the PGA Tour. So, Phil was willing to look past terrible human rights violations, which he fully admitted to get things done in terms of business problems with the PGA. Not a great start for LIV's PR. Despite the controversy surrounding the Saudi involvement, LIV has succeeded in luring away quite a few big names from the PGA Tour. Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, Patrick Reed, good pals Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, Sergio Garcia, Matthew Wolff, and more. Now, you could argue that a lot of these players bring more name recognition than top-tier golf at the moment, but the main goal is to get people to watch the new tour, so I get why these are the players LIV Golf went after. The league is off and running with its inaugural event held in England in early June, followed by its second event in Portland in late June and early July, and its third event happening July 29th through 31st in New Jersey. So why are all these players defecting to this upstart tour? The obvious answer is that controversial Saudi money, and I think that's the actual reason, but if you ask the players themselves, they'll lean on a particular line of reasoning: growing the game.
Trying to grow the game over there
to help grow the sport.
Do a lot of good for the game throughout the world.
Grow the game, do all this other stuff.
With so many of the defectors from the PGA Tour to LIV saying that they want to grow the game by making it more popular and accessible, why don't we actually take a look at what LIV Golf is doing differently and see if those changes are meaningful or good? Look, if you can get past the Saudi-funded aspect of LIV Golf, which is hard for a lot of people, myself included, then yes, having this new league as competition for the PGA Tour could bring about better things for the game at a professional level. But how exactly is it going to grow the game? The people at LIV Golf will point you to the different formats and features of the league, so let's go through those to see if they're actually good for the game. First, the namesake of the new golf tour, LIV. LIV is the Roman numeral for 54, or the number of holes each LIV event has. So instead of 4-day 72-hole tournaments, like most other tours out there, LIV only has 3 days of golf. Was anyone upset with 4 days of golf? Also, I don't think having a 3-day tournament is going to bring in people to watch golf who wouldn't watch a 4-day tournament. As far as the competitive aspect of it, Tiger Woods had this to say about 3-day tournaments versus 4-day tournaments. With one less day of competition, there's also no cut in LIV Golf. Every player who starts the tournament plays all 3 days. I suppose that makes sense, that you wouldn't want to cut anyone, especially in a small field, either after just one round or with only one round remaining, but this doesn't really move the needle in terms of growing the game. Another big change LIV has made in comparison to the PGA Tour is the smaller field of players. There are 48 players in LIV Golf, and they play in every tournament. In the PGA, fields can range from 132 to 156 players, which normally gets cut down to about 70 for the weekend. But at least for now, the PGA Tour has better players, and it's not like the broadcast focuses on every single player in the event. Only the ones who are contending or who have a big following are shown on TV. So smaller fields don't make much of a difference to the viewer, at least at home. It could be easier to take in when you go to a live event, but most people watch through TV. And these things are also preventing LIV from being taken seriously in the world golf rankings too, which is a big problem. If you're playing exclusively in LIV events, you will not be accruing official world golf ranking points, which are crucial to qualify for majors if you don't already have an exemption to play. 54-hole limited field events that are invitation only aren't likely to be given any points in the rankings, even before LIV came along. And it doesn't look like the golfing world is eager to shift and change to make room for those who are joining the new league. So if LIV's players fall down the official world golf rankings, that hurts its ability to be able to show what a strong field of players they think they have. Back to the changes that LIV is saying will help grow the game. With the smaller fields, LIV is able to do what's called a shotgun start, where every player starts playing their round at the same time, all on different holes. This helps with the length of play on tournament day. Conceivably, from start to finish, a round takes 5 hours for LIV. On the PGA Tour, groups of players start on the first and sometimes 10th tee about every 10 minutes. This means PGA events easily stretch 11 to 12 hours on Thursdays and Fridays, since not everyone is on the course at the same time. But even with that help, the shotgun start can make following a battle at the top of the leaderboard more difficult. 2 players could be tied for the lead with 3 holes to play, for instance, but one of them is about to go through the toughest stretch of the golf course, while the other is about to play a couple of holes that are birdies waiting to happen. So you need to know exactly where each person is on the course, and what's coming up to truly know who's the favorite. In the PGA Tour style, each player is playing the same course in the same way, and if those players were close to start the day, they'll be right next to each other on the course, or even playing with each other as they come down the stretch. Drama easily builds in this format, but I just don't see it being as easy to build with the shotgun start. Now onto a change that has a lot of promise, if only it was implemented much differently: team play. LIV has separated its field into 12 teams of 4. For this year, the teams are different for each event, but in future years, the teams will be the same for the entire season. If you play golf yourself, you've probably played some sort of team game with your buddies on the weekend at your local course. A scramble, best ball, something like that. That's not at all what LIV is doing. The team members don't necessarily even play in the same group. The team competition is just adding together teammates' top scores for the round, and then whatever team has the best overall score wins. I'm not even sure that deserves to be called team play, it's just combined scoring. LIV will have a team championship that includes knockout match play, but that's 1 event out of 8 this year. So, the main differentiators on the course that LIV is implementing all don't really move the needle in terms of changing the game to make it more attractive to new fans. With that, we can move on to a few things that LIV is doing that are legitimately good things for golf. Since there is no cut, each player who plays in a LIV event gets a guaranteed payout at the end of it. Conversely, on the PGA Tour, if you don't make the cut, you actually don't make any money that week. Plus, with all the travel expenses, caddy fees, etc., you're actually in the red for the week. Now, for most of the top players, that's no big deal, but for those at the bottom of the PGA rankings who are fighting to stay on tour, it's a huge deal. This doesn't affect the fans, but it's something the PGA Tour should do to make things easier on those at the bottom of the fields. Based on what we could see from the first 2 LIV events in England and Portland, the on-course product looks entertaining. Players are engaged with fans more, and it feels just not as stuffy as a PGA Tour event. So, well done there too. Finally, because the players have more control over their own likeness and content in LIV Golf, there's a better opportunity to showcase specific players and their talents and personalities. Plus, players can make direct connections with their fans more easily. Bryson DeChambeau has had his own YouTube channel for a bit more than a year now, but he's actually able to film his own rounds in LIV Golf, something he couldn't do in the PGA Tour, and that helps his personal brand. So that's what LIV Golf is doing to change the game for the better and grow it for the future. But what changes could actually grow the game's reach? LIV is on the right track in some areas, but there are some improvements that could be made. LIV has the right idea in implementing more team play in golf. Right now, the majority of PGA Tour events are simply stroke play, every man for himself events. You get the rare event like the match play in Austin and the Zurich Classic in New Orleans, which became a team event in 2017, but other than that, it's pretty much just stroke play. But there's so much more that could potentially be done with team play. Like we said before, a lot of people who play golf, and subsequently watch golf on the weekends, play loads of team games like scrambles, 2v2 best ball, etc. A lot of the new content on YouTube utilizes these types of matches, and this content is bringing golf to a new fan base. Plus, one of the most popular events on the golf calendar every 2 years is the Ryder Cup, which is a team event. So it only makes sense to try to replicate that type of atmosphere more often in professional golf. If people can see how fun it is to play this type of golf, then it'll grow the game in terms of viewership and participation. One of the best things to come out of the matches that gained popularity in the summer of 2020 with the likes of Phil and Tiger was the access to the players on the course with mics. Obviously, you don't want Charles Barkley in someone's ear as they're trying to win a PGA tournament, but getting clearer audio of what players are talking about on course, whether with each other or their caddies, will help generate more interest in the sport. It's 2022, and authenticity and access are valuable in the media world we live in. Just check out what happened in the 2022 MLB All-Star Game for more evidence of that. Finally, one thing that many on the PGA Tour have highlighted as an issue is the difficulty with which clearly good, young players have in getting a spot on the PGA Tour. If it's easier for them to just accept an offer from LIV, the PGA Tour won't have any young stars to market. Other, more popular leagues, like the NFL and NBA, cling to their new fresh stars each year, starting with the draft and then moving on from there. If you're able to make a grand entrance onto the PGA Tour without having to worry about climbing up from the Korn Ferry Tour, then you'll be introduced much better than the gradual introduction to the fans most young players get now. LIV Golf has certainly shaken up the golf world, and while they're trying new things and claim to be working to grow the game, the on-course changes they've implemented won't bring meaningful growth to golf. LIV Golf itself won't be the solution, but maybe Phil actually had it right, even if how he said it was extremely tone-deaf and offensive. Overall, we were probably better off if LIV Golf never existed, but now that the cat's out of the bag, if it can force the PGA Tour to look at itself, improve how it treats its players and markets its game, that's good news. But is it worth it? What do you think? Let us know, and we'll see you in the next one.